The next one is everybody's favorite, is administrative systems and structures. That those are a critical part too when we're talking about sustainability long term. That we are in partnership as administrators or and people who are assisting in building the infrastructure. We have a program team and we have an administrative team, but we work collaboratively. One does not live without the other, and we work really hard at making sure that we work together in that way. It's not a collective process. There is a hierarchy at Sketch, but we like to call it a healthy hierarchy, and that we work as much as we can in evaluating each other and working together so that the systems are making sense for everybody involved. And in that means that we have strong financial management, which allows for a lot of transparency, and that leads to a lot of integrity, I think. And you have to take care of the money. You have to care for every dollar that comes in the door and do it with the same care that we do with the individuals. And we try to do that in the way that we financially run things. And as Phyllis had mentioned, we talk about evaluation. We have quarterly reports on our financial statements, go out to the board quarterly, and they're quite intensive. We've been building those for the last 3 years. But they're good because it tells another story. It's another part of the story. It tells us where we're going, where can we go, where have we been, how are we moving, how are we doing in foundations or corporations or individuals, and where do we want to invest the next part of our process. So it allows us to dream and, again, create more visions and clarity so we can keep on moving towards something that is possibly sustainable over a longer period of time.
And the last area of capacity building is policies and procedures. And normally people hate these words and they feel that they are in complete contrast to art making, but actually for us these are kind of more like sort of like decision-making trees or you know, nicer words, but these are about creating fluid or living kind of flexible boundaries within which to practice. And we have been adopting them as we've been growing, also to provide safety for all of us and to provide self-care. And it's really been funny in the last few years because people have been saying, you know, Sketch is really growing and you keep growing with more and more people working at Sketch and all that stuff and sending them out and all this stuff. And why do you feel that you know, I mean, do you feel that you're still relevant? Why do you keep growing inside your infrastructure keeps growing? And so it's intriguing to me that there is also this idea out there that people who are making art have to be working ridiculous amounts of hours and have to be burning themselves out, doing all kinds of administrative things at the same time as creative things, and that, oh, see, I just contradicted the whole administration creative thing. Come on. Woo! I have to really learn. Anyway, so. Okay, so. I really think that we have been trying desperately to model health and trying to figure out how we can model caring for each other and caring for ourselves. So we've been putting all kinds of procedures and stuff in place that we can practice with to provide that safety net. And Megan, our GM, one of her great first tasks was develop a really great way of keeping our time so that we will not work these tremendous amounts of overtime and not get that back. And so we really want to advocate for care on our staff team. And okay, so policies are part of that. And then the last thing that is a part of that I alluded to before, which is evaluation. I think for people that are aware of community arts practice, one of its main underpinnings is reflective practice. And I think that you start practicing in the beginning when you do your evaluation at the end of a project, but then you have to start incorporating it as just a state of being. And I think you're constantly asking questions, you've got critical thinking going on, you're asking other people questions, you're giving opportunity for youth and participants to help grow what you've got going so that they can really own it and turn it into something and start directing you. And it's just, I think that you need time to step back and look at what you've got. So we, in the very beginning, when we were starting, we closed every year for 2 weeks, and we've continued to do that. Right in the heat of the summer, we just stopped programming and we all just incubate for a while. We share best practices, we talk about what's working, what's not. And youth are a part of that process as well. And then we do this quarterly kind of reflection thing, which even now people on the team want to make happen every month because there's so many incredible parts of the whole story being created that we just want to keep track of it all better. So evaluation, hugely important thing of allowing things to grow and change. Okay, we have just one quick example of something, a PSA. Could you please go right to our PSA and then we're wrapping it up.
This is an example of that relationship building, fundraising. So a couple of years ago, we had these young people from high school who came in and they wanted to find out about Sketch because they could raise $5,000 for us, right? Part of the Toscan Foundation. So we saw 20 different groups come in. One group wins. The next year they do it again. This group comes in, they don't win, but the mother happens to work at Moviola, in Channel 0. She says, if you ever want to do a PSA, let us know. We'll try to air it. So that happens, and then at the same time, another story is happening over here with Boot It Up, and we've got this Blundstone thing going on. We've got these relationships with advertising companies. They say, how would you like, we ask them, would you like to do a PSA? One of them, they say, sure, let's do a PSA. Now we have the PSA, and we want to share it with you as a reflection of what we see our story is and what Sketch does. And it's now being aired on nationally on Bell and what are the different Rogers, there you go, thank you. And then hopefully what we'll do is go back to, with Moviola, we're going to go back to CBC to have it aired nationally. Right now it's a PSA for the Boot It Up event, but will become hopefully PSA for Sketch. So, enjoy.
It's on Facebook and YouTube. We do have Facebook. Passed it along too because the other idea that we have that's coming from this is that we're sort of wanting to make it into like a children's story or something that could start spreading out about this little character named Audley who just thinks that she doesn't have anything to contribute and then just realizes that she actually has this really inner beauty, and when connected with others, she can really spread the beauty that she has everywhere. And quite frankly, that it really is the story that we've all been discovering, is that youth who live alternative lives and who have an incredible resilience do have something really important to contribute to overall community development. And I think it's through arts and culture that we're going to find it and that we're going to make change.